From WDWNT, the worldwide leader in Disney Parks news, this is ParksCenter. Hello there, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of ParksCenter. My name's Ben, and joining me tonight we have Allison.
Good evening, everyone.
Jill.
Hello.
Rob. Oh, there it is!
Somebody had to do it.
Oh. Rob?
Pass.
And Tyler.
Steve Marco, everybody. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, welcome back. Happy to have you. And let's go ahead and kick things off with our first story of the night, something that's going to be kind of a big one. We have Moana coming to the Polynesian. Kind of makes sense, I suppose, but coming out a little bit out of left field for me. There are Moana-themed rooms coming to the Polynesian resort. We've got a first look at Moana-themed rooms up on our website as well. And we now have confirmed that the Polynesian will not be reopening until summer of next year at this point. Presumably they're going to just stay closed long enough that they can do all of the makeover and renovation that they're going to do. Now, I put up a Twitter poll earlier. Let me see if I can load this correctly. Haha, I did. And so it looks like about half of the folks that follow me on Twitter are very just meh on this. And then for the other half of the room, it's split 50-50 between this being great and terrible. So folks out there seem to just be a little, How are folks on the panel feeling about this?
I mean, I'm fine with things when it makes sense, and this is like at least a natural integration of an existing IP into, albeit like a classic resort that you don't really want to see the character messed with much. But my daughter loves Moana. She's the only Disney princess she kind of looks like, and I think representation matters, and it's kind of nice for us to be able to see some of that when we go, and for her to see it. So there's no Moana ride, and the Journey of Water isn't open, so maybe we can spend a night in the Polynesian and she can see Moana there. It's not, I feel in between meh and sweet, but I'm not overjoyed, but at least it makes sense.
It's funny because Moana is my favorite modern day Disney movie. I love Moana. But I'm kind of, I don't know why I feel weird about this. I think I feel weird about it because I have so much history with the Polynesian. I mean, when I was a kid and my grandmother would take Jason and I to the parks, I mean, those were back in the days when literally the Contemporary and the Polynesian were the only two hotels that existed. And we would stay at the Polynesian every time. My grandmother loved the Polynesian. So to that extent, I've kind of been a little bummed out by all of the changes that have come to the Polynesian over time, because the other thing to remember is this is not the first character the first IP that's getting inserted into the Polynesian. Lilo and Stitch has been there for a little while, maybe not as obtrusively as Moana apparently is going to be. But the flip side of this is I think of all IPs that you could put into any Disney hotel, this one absolutely makes the most sense. I mean, Moana takes place on a Polynesian Isle. There's no having to fudge how this makes sense for them. Compared to talking about putting an Incredibles room in at the Contemporary, this makes 1,000 times more sense than the Incredibles room at the Contemporary, or the Incredibles steakhouse at the Contemporary. What is that? It absolutely makes sense. I don't have a problem with it conceptually. I just have so much love for old school Polynesian resort Polynesian Village resort, in fact, that I don't like seeing anything about it change. And that kind of goes to probably where a lot of Disney fans come from with not wanting to see things change, even if it's not necessarily a bad thing that it's changing.
And you know what, Ben? I know we're out of time on this one, but I mean...
Oh, no, keep going. This is a big one. Ignore the timer for this.
Yeah, so like DVC, like that Poly's where we have our points. So we've always felt like it was really an escape. I mean, it's one of those places that truly feels like you are someplace else when you're there, because with the trees and the water and, you know, it's you walk along and you really feel like you could be somewhere else other than Disney. So the idea of pumping in an IP even more so there does seem a little forced, but there's already Moana Mercantile. The Tiki God in the lobby is already called Maui. So, I mean, there is, like Jill said, a perfect fit here. But it's kind of like we were talking about with the Grand Floridian a while back when they were like, oh, we're bringing Beauty and the Beast there. And it's like Beauty and the Beast, and, you know, in addition to there already being Alice and already some Mary Poppins. I mean, it feels like there's way too much there. I just don't think it needs it. Like something like adding the Pirates rooms to the Caribbean beach, yeah, that kind of fits perfectly and is a draw. You don't really need a draw. I mean, the way that I've been having trouble getting reservations at the Polynesian pre-COVID, you don't really need a draw to that one. That one pretty much is a draw unto itself. So I hope it's as light as a theming as we think it will be, and just like enough of a hint of Moana that it would be cool. But I do think Stitch and Moana both fit there, but do you really need them there? I don't think so.
Yeah.
We're all acting surprised like Disney doesn't already do this all the time. Like, yeah,
that's fair.
Like the fact that they're like, oh, we have something original. How quickly can we draw a line to one of our characters? Mexico, 3 caballeros, put them in Coronado. Like that's just how they do it now. It's that quick and it's that simple. And if they're like Polynesian, Moana, put them in there. Like it obviously, like the kid, like Allison said, the kids are gonna love it. They're gonna love having Moana stuff in there, and that might be the place that they're gonna want to go to. If it's like, well, what hotel should we go to? The Moana Hotel? It's gonna be called that from now on. I just think Disney's like trying to insert all of these characters because they're like, oh no, look at all the characters of color we have. We're not racist. Quick, put Moana into something. Make a princess in the line. Quick, anything we got. And it does very much seem like they're like, look how progressive we are. I can't be the only person who thinks that, because it does seem like that is what's happening.
Yeah.
So my question is this, and maybe this is something we can talk about this might be a good post-show discussion, is, okay, so if we've got The Incredibles coming to the Contemporary and we've got Moana coming to the Polynesian, what's coming to the Grand Floridian? Because that's the last monorail hotel that they haven't shoved an IP in yet.
They already put Beauty and the Beast in, and the bar made zero sense.
And the Alice Tea Party and those characters and the big Mad Hatter hat and the Twinkle Park.
Yeah, but that's been there for years. Like the character breakfast was there for years before at Park Fair with Alice in Wonderland. So that's been, I think, a thing. But are they going to like retheme the rooms to Mary Poppins, or what's coming?
Yeah, that's what chat's saying, is it should be Mary Poppins. Somebody said that it should be the Muppets though, and I appreciate your reference to the Grand Floridian for that.
No, build a Muppet hotel and make it that one.
Please.
Just retheme one of the All-Stars to just be All-Stars Muppets. Like, that would be a million times better than what All-Stars is right now.
Thank you. You wouldn't even have to do that much work. Like, it would make sense why everything's, like, looking corny and bad. Like, it would...
That is the appropriate use of Muppets, yes.
Oh, man.
Oh.
I just got something from our internal chat. We have an image of what's going to be coming to the Polynesian. Let me see if I can put this up real quick.
That's fantastic.
For those who don't know it, it's Ohana, but this is Moana.
Ben, did you
we did Ride Rehab in 3 minutes.
Did you put your own, like, you put your joke in there and then knew it was so bad you had worst joke of the night already ready, or?
Oh yeah, I knew that was gonna get it. That's
you called your shot. You pointed out to the left field and you said home run.
It's gonna be bad.
Nice.
To be fair, I can't take full credit for that image. Someone in this room made that, and
Yeah, I spent way
wasn't
too
me.
long making that look real.
It really is good.
It's really good.
All right, but let's move on here because we've spent a lot of time on this, and it's worth it. But we do have other stories to cover. Specifically, Disneyland now has its lights on, and the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, has outlined some new COVID-19 guidelines, and that there is a ongoing discussion about reopening Disneyland. So there are the new guidelines for the state there. Note that the daily new cases number is in per 100,000 people, not total across the state, because that would be wow. But so there's the new yardstick for California, and it looks like there's a decent possibility that Disneyland will be opening soon. The quote here is that the governor confirmed that the theme parks are going to be their own separate thing, as they're opting to set those businesses aside for a dynamic conversation. So it is distinctly possible that we start seeing limited openings of Disneyland relatively soon. Do we think California is ready for it? Like, I mean, last I checked, they've got better numbers than Florida, and Florida's very open. So
I don't really care if California's ready. I'm ready. Like, let's do it. I am so ready to get to Disneyland. I can't even stand it because I actually had an annual pass last year. I should have extra months on it, and I don't think the Avengers Campus will be ready. I wish it was. I just think that it seems like we've opened up so many other things, and with their numbers more in check than they were before, I think it seems like it's time to do it. I certainly don't want anybody to be unsafe or anybody else to get sick, but the execution of it in Florida has seemed to be pretty solid. We've talked at length about how we feel like there's almost like a Disney bubble, that when you go in there, that they are able to enforce rules that your local grocery stores are not, that people go in there and want to be a part of it and follow the rules. Now, maybe it might be a little different in California because they may have to enforce a little harder, because it's really more of, as we've said before, a quote-unquote locals park, because there are so many people and there's so many pass holders. They're going to have to figure out something better to do about pass holder systems when they open that up. So I'm ready for them to do it. Also, if the governor was Gavin DeGraw instead, wouldn't that be so much better?
Oh, you're trying to take worst joke back from me now.
Sorry.
That was an interesting reference, but I like me some Gavin DeGraw, so I'll accept it.
Fair. Chat's booing that.
Go ahead, Jill.
I was gonna say, I just feel like Disneyland is like the kid who's like, "Mom, can I go outside?" "Not right now." "Mom, can I go outside?" And like every time they ask, they're like inching closer to the door, and then they've got their hand on the door, and then they're like starting to push the door open, and it's like, "Mom, can I go outside?" So like Disneyland is like doing all the stuff. They're throwing the lights on, they're putting up all their plexiglass barriers, because they're just waiting for somebody to tell them it's okay to flip the switch and let people in the door. And as soon as that happens, they're like chomping at the bit. So it's just funny to me, because I feel like they're doing every physical thing possible to be able to open immediately, as soon as they're told they're allowed to go outside.
Yeah. Well timed. Let's jump back over to Disneyland. We've got some hinting, although no confirmations or anything, about the fate of the Merry Christmas parties at this point. So Disney has added hours through November 14th for their parks, although they have not provided an update on the Very Merry Christmas Party or the Epcot International Festival of the Holidays. So we don't have any solid confirmations one way or the other. Now, to me, personally, that leads me to believe that they're still considering canceling all of this, and they're just not ready to pull the trigger on it. Do we think that this is going to happen? Do we think that the parks are going to be in a state where they can support a hard-ticketed event in the case of Magic Kingdom, or something that's not a taste of a festival in the case of Epcot? Or is this going the way of Not So Scary and it's going to get pulled?
I think you're right that they're deciding.
Allison, go
they're
ahead. I'm
crunching
sorry.
I think they're in the middle of deciding. I think that's right. They don't want to pull the trigger yet. I think they're crunching the numbers to see if this makes any sense. And it's hard for me to understand why they wouldn't, because a typical day in the park is like a hard ticketed event now, but right now they're getting lots of people who have annual passes who they're not getting the extra, $100 that these tickets cost coming in. And so why not have this? But I'm sure that they know what they're doing in the accounting department in Disney. That is a company that knows how to make money. So I think if they can figure out a way to make money from it, they will have them. I don't think there's anything at this point where they need to figure out logistics, because it's probably enough just to have the distant sprinkle of magic, holiday magic with characters, and it's probably enough to have just be there late in the evening with really nice ambient music and all the things that they do with decorations to justify the event. But I think there must be a question for them whether they would get enough people to buy the tickets to make it worth staffing and doing all of those extra touches. And that's the question for them now.
I don't think we really know what their capacity is, and we've talked about this before too. The fact that the Universal parks seem to have no rules, no capacity, no problem, no park reservations, park hopping. Sure, let's do it. And Disney has seemed like that they're being careful, but we kind of get the feeling that there's not enough people coming. So I don't know that they could, if they are having an attendance problem, just getting the minimum attendance. I don't know how people would react to an additional charge for some kind of an after hours hard ticketed event, especially since they keep limiting the hours. I think it would be a horrible mistake to do, because they keep limiting the hours of the parks now anyway. And if I'm there and I have limited hours, and then now on top of that you're going to make me pay for more hours, I feel like that's a nightmare. Not that Disney hasn't done that before as a cash grab, not that hasn't happened, but I feel like especially with you have to have a reduced capacity. They've already been taking those hard ticketed events, as we've seen, like the Halloween party, and really kind of overdoing how many people they let in. So I think they would have to be a fraction of that, which maybe would, to Allison's point, wouldn't be cost effective. But I would love to just see them extend the hours, decorate the place, open it up for everybody who has a ticket to come in and experience maybe something extra special for Christmas that didn't require a hard ticket to get into.
Yep.
I feel like this is going to be this is going to be the Halloween that didn't happen. I think we're probably on track for it to be the Christmas that didn't happen. So to Rob's point, I think it would be very Disney in an authentic old school Disney sense for Disney to say, we know we can't have the Halloween party or the Christmas party, because same thing with the Halloween party. What makes those parties what they are is parades and fireworks. And as of right now, there is no signs that we're getting either of those things back. So without those things, what are you paying all that extra money for a hard ticketed event for? Decorate the parks up like you do. Have the same character cavalcade kind of thing, but with all the holiday characters coming out, and give people a taste of Christmas that they're not going to be able to really get anywhere else, because they're not going to be able to take their kids to go sit on Santa's lap for pictures this year, but they can at least go to Disney and see Santa coming down Main Street in a sleigh. Be Disney and give people Christmas magic where they can get it without charging them extra, when the likelihood of being able to run this as a hard ticketed event is pretty slim at this point.
So, Jill, what I'm hearing you say is that they should do it as a taste of Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Have you literally just coined that just now? Because I feel like you have.
I don't everything now.
I got a great idea. For that party, they can sell Halloween merchandise. Win-win.
Oh, gosh.
You figured it out.
Yep, because the event before.
A taste of Spaceship Earth.
No, don't do that. It leaks sometimes. Don't taste Spaceship Earth. It's.
It's been leaking. It leaks consistently now.
Yeah.
That makes it a feature. If it's consistent, it's a feature.
Well, you know it's a feature of the Magic Kingdom that they've got Halloween decorations out right now. I was trying to get a better transition, but we tangented hard, so... now, this is actually really cool, and it makes me kind of sad that I'm not going to be able to make it down to see this. So the Halloween decor is up in the parks, or not up, it's going to be up on September 15th, I should say, along with a character cavalcade for the season. But the big part that gets me here is this last bit. Guests allowed to wear costumes. Adults and kids are going to be allowed to wear costumes in the parks during the day, which is something that you really can't get during normal Halloween operating procedures. Like, adults are not allowed to wear a costume in the park outside of these hard-ticketed events where they make exceptions. But because of the situation where they had to cancel that, they're just letting guests wear them in the park during the day. So if you wanted to get a picture of, like, you as a character in the park at sunrise, you can do that now. That's a thing that people are going to be able to do, and I am really looking forward to seeing all the really cool cosplay pictures that come out of this.
What would you wear, Ben? I know you've already picked out your outfit. What would you wear?
Oh gosh, I don't even know. Like, I go immediately to, like, I think this is in all parks, not just Magic Kingdom, but I'm not 100% on that.
Avatar, Pandora stuff.
That would be sweet. But I was thinking, go get Gravity Falls over at the Imagination Pavilion, because I think that pavilion needs that overlay right now, anyways, and so that's what I want to do.
Repping some Dipper over by the Imagination.
The chat is saying that, Ben, you should go as Lil Ben.
Oh.
Yay! Go Ben!
I love it. About, like, you can wear a costume but not a mask. I mean, like, no, a face mask. No, not a.
Oh, God.
Is that going to get because people are gonna have to wear a, like, how do you even word that now? What is the difference of this to this at this point?
I think the wording is face covering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, no masks, but you have to wear a face covering. Like, people are already going to get in arguments about that. I think it's going to happen a lot more now.
Everybody's going to come
and they
dressed as
can
a surgeon.
theme their face covering. Go to our TeePublic site and find some themed
there you go.
face coverings, and you can match that to whatever costume that you have, and it'll just add to the spirit of Halloween.
Be the big thunder goat.
Be the Haunted Mansion host.
Be Tubbs.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You could be all these things. Look at all these wonderful masks.
Yeah.
Although I don't want to be anything other than what I've been trying to be lately. So.
Oh gosh, stop this! No.
Where's the worst stroke of the night, girl?
You want it, you get it.
I don't get it.
Governor Gavin DeGraw.
You had to work for it, but you got it. I concede.
He's been waiting all night for an opening for that.
So I'm really excited for this, and I'm hoping that it ends up being cool to watch from afar. But something that we will not be able to watch coming up here. See, if I take control of the conversation, you can't ruin my transitions. Something we won't be able to see for a while is Turtle Talk with Crush, which last show we were talking about. We were hearing rumors that it would be opening by this point, but we have now confirmed that it is going to be closed through the end of the year. So a bit of a correction there. It definitely seems strange to me that we last week on the show we showed pictures where they put up the social distancing markers for that queue. Like, very clearly, like, they were expecting this to be a thing, but they apparently have changed their minds at this point, and it's just not coming. We had a lot of discussion on this last week, kind of to the tune of, yeah, you could make it work, but you'd have to restructure the show a lot. I wonder if that ended up being the deal breaker here, or if there were other ideas floating around.
I think it's bizarre that this show is, like, the one that they're choosing, like, not to do. Like, I get that it's a small room, But I feel like if it was a smaller audience, that it wouldn't be a problem, because you still bring a lot of people into not only that little queue section in the front, which is an exhibit in of itself, but also that, like, even if it had a smaller audience, it doesn't ruin the experience of the show. Like, I mean, if you like, that show is still entertaining and funny no matter how many people are in the room, because it's sort of tailored to everybody. Unlike like if you had a full theater or if you had like 10 people in Jimmy Fallon, it's not funny. And even if the ride is full, it's still not funny. But this ride is just genuinely entertaining and also informative. I feel like this should be something that like you can social distance and also make sure that it's still a good show. I mean, the show's not as fun when you're in the back of the room. It's not really built to be a theater. It's just sort of a space. But I would even think like making it a shorter experience as well, because there's not as many people, could even be a better idea maybe. Kind of like the Halloween laugh floor where it's like you kind of walk in, walk out sort of thing.
I gotta wonder if it has something
Ooh,
to
I
do
like
with the
that,
actors,
making it-
though, right? Like, I mean, I feel like that because of how quick you have to be on your feet. I assume it's some sort of an actor who you know, and it could be an equity actor who is usually responsible for being crushed, because you have to be able to respond quickly and funny and all that. So, I mean, right? Am I wrong? I mean, I don't exactly know how the technology works.
Yeah,
absolutely-
I think Crush is equity. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think Crush
so
is
maybe
equity,
that's
and you're
it.
absolutely right. But I mean, to Tyler's point, that's what Laugh Floor is at Halloween. It's exactly, Laugh Floor is exactly the same thing, where you've got live actors behind the stage reading, you know, improving lines, but they're doing it on a constant rolling basis as people are coming in and out of the theater. So why not try to do that with Turtle Talk? I think that's actually a really interesting idea. The only maybe difference is that on the Halloween party, it's like 5 hours as opposed to 8 or 9 or 10 hours. Well, no, I guess Epcot's only open 8 hours now. But you know, it's. I think it would give you more function out of that space and out of that concept to do that with current crowds. But yeah, it's interesting that of all things, they specifically said this one thing is not coming back. And I don't know if that's because a bunch of people were talking about it, but you know, at the end of the day, I don't think Crush not coming back this year is making or breaking people's decisions whether or not they're going to the parks.
Well, and I think if Ollivanders can open up, then anything that's a show can open up. I mean, there is no smaller space than Ollivanders, and they've found a way to do it, like one party at a time. So I feel like, you know, you could do a modified thing for the size. So that's why I think it has to be an actor situation.
That would make sense.
Or
I'm
maybe
a little
after
surprised.
I was gonna say after maybe not running for months, it doesn't work, because we've certainly seen that happen.
Oh gosh, wouldn't that be funny? They were all ready to do it. They were doing a test run, and they're like, "Well, this is broke. Never mind."
It's undergoing an extensive refurbishment, and there's going to be a Moana overlay.
Oh gosh.
Please no. Please don't do it.
I don't want to talk to anyone from
Chicken talk with
It's going
Hey
to be Tafiti Talk.
Chicken Talk with
Oh my god, Chicken Talk.
Never mind. That's the one I want to grow.
Yeah, I'm back in. You got me, Ben. We're doing it. If it's anything less than that, it's going to be a big disappointment.
Oh goodness me. Well, let's jump topics here a little bit. Going over to some action at Coronado Springs Resort this past week. NBA has been playing out of Walt Disney World Resorts for a while now. During one of the playoff games, the NBA players decided that they were not going to play in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. The following day, there was effectively like it was a march. I was about to call it a parade, and that's very much the wrong term to use here. There was a march around the Coronado Springs Resort with all of the NBA referees and other people who were in support of all of this. I'm a little surprised that this happened and got publicized. I feel like this kind of thing would definitely happen, but I don't think that there would be any traction on it in the news, that Disney would try and keep this relatively quiet. But this, I've for the point of clarity, Black Lives Matter. We are in full support of the Black Lives Matters movement here on ParksCenter, and that is an important thing. So don't get me wrong at any point in time during this discussion. But I'm surprised that we're hearing about this and that we're seeing the action.
I'm glad we are. I reiterate that Black Lives Matter, period, and stop. But when I look at this, I sort of think about, what's really interesting here as a Disney fan is there are these times in Disney park history where park history and what's happening in the world kind of intersect. You have the "I am not a crook" Nixon speech at the Contemporary. You have like the Beatles dissolving at the Polynesian, and then 2020, like it's just the whole year of 2020 is an intersection of this. Like you have the NBA like having to create their own bubble, and it's going to be at Disney, and then everything else that has happened with COVID and people in the parks with masks and limited all sorts of things. And then on top of it, you have news like this, and I'm glad that Disney's not running away from it and they're sticking to they're publicizing it or comfortable with the publicity of it, which is in line with the corporate statement that Black Lives Matter, period, and stop for Disney as well. And whether that is like politically motivated or it doesn't matter to me, because it is the values that we hold here at WNT and at ParksCenter.
Yeah. This is a hard one to talk about, I know. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, no, I was going to say, I think there was no better time to do this because, eyes are on them. I mean, this is a good time to make a statement because, like Allison said, there's this bubble that they've set up there. The bubble includes reporters who have been put there to follow follow the players. And so I think that, and the fact that everybody who is a basketball fan or even not knows that they're at Disney World. And so I think that there is not a better place and time for them to make this their statement. I mean, I think it's a well placed and a great. I guess what I'm trying to say is I think it was well done for them to do it here and now.
Well, we have one more story to cover for tonight, and this one kind of snuck in late on us, and this kind of surprises me almost to see this. There are new vacation packages out for the Walt Disney World Resort. They are trying to get people into the parks and specifically into the hotels. Based on a 4-night, 4-day room and ticket package, you can save up to $500 if you're staying at a deluxe resort. Or a deluxe resort or a deluxe villa, and you can save all of $60 if you're over at the campsites of Fort Wilderness. So, but it's kind of surprising to me that Disney is pushing for this. That kind of means to me that they were expecting there to be a bigger demand for the parks when they came back than there actually is. Do we think that putting things on sale is going to help drive that demand, or is the lack of demand due to other reasons than financial?
I mean,
that's a tough one.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I want to go to Disney like every second. Like I want to be there. So, like I've said a bunch of times on different shows, I feel like they're doing an amazing job during, a very hard time for any vacation destination. When we were there, it felt very safe. They're following all the guidelines and then some. It just feels like a good place, a good safe place. However, there are a ton of people who are not going to take the risk to travel there. There are a ton of people who can't go for one reason or another. For their health reasons, they can't go. For their family's health reasons. So it's got to be a tough time for them to get people there. I just don't feel like the money is like lowering the price is what's going to lure people who already aren't going to go. Does that make sense? Like I feel like people who have decided either they or feel unsafe there, or that they don't want to go, for a term I've used, for the muted experience, without parades, without fireworks, without character meet and greets and buffets and all the things that we're missing out on. I don't know that a deep discount is what's going to change their minds. Do you?
Yes.
That's
Totally disagree.
Okay.
It's funny, like, so, okay, so if you watched Pressing Issues a week and a half ago, I literally said they should do this. I literally said, why are they not offering AP's hotel discounts? And then, like, 8 days later, there are AP hotel discounts. I have in no way, shape, or form trying to say that I made this happen. But I just find it, like, how could it not? It made zero sense. They want APs to spend more money. And this was the other thing, like, this was a huge part of our discussion, was if you want APs to spend more money in your parks, well, first of all, accurately track the money that your APs are spending in your parks, and then give them incentives to come and spend more money. APs want park passes and they have trouble getting them, but they can get them with a room reservation. So give them discounted room rates. Why would you not? You're struggling to get people into your hotels. You're probably running all of your hotels at a deficit, because the cost to open an entire resort like that has got to be astronomical compared to the number of people they have coming in there. So put people in the Disney rooms, give APs the discount, give locals in the area a discount, because a lot of people are afraid to fly. But if it's like a 4 or 5 or 6 hour drive from South Carolina or Georgia, they're going to go because they don't want to get on a plane. But if Disney makes it easy and cheaper for them to get there, they're going to go. So I absolutely think this is a fantastic idea, and I think it's going to work. I don't think it's about, is saving a little bit of money going to make that big of a difference? I think it absolutely is. And it's not just about, okay, now I'm spending $200 less on my Disney trip. Although actually, I think depending on the room you book, it's significantly more than that. But it's about Disney is doing something to incentivize me to come. And it's as much about the way that feels to people as it is the actual, ka-ching dollar amount that tallies up at the bottom of their vacation tab at the end of it.
Yeah.
And we don't really have like a comparable experience to COVID in like the park's history. The only thing anywhere near is like what happened with park attendance after 9/11, and after 9/11 suddenly there was free dining and then everyone came back. So I think like discounts often work, and we don't know how well it will work, and it may not in the way that that Rob predicts. But yeah, at the very least, even if it doesn't, it makes you feel like they want your business again.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, though, there's a big difference between 9/11 and what we're dealing with now, because again, you may have gone, hey, I'm really afraid, but that's a great deal. Now you're talking about you being sick, your family being sick, other reasons that you can't go. And so I don't disagree that maybe for some people that might be an incentive. But to your point, Jill, there are other things they could do to break that barrier, to make things easier to get in, other than a discount. Like, I don't know, if they're having a problem with capacity, maybe take away park reservations, so because that's been a barrier to people to get there. The way you're talking about the annual pass thing and the discount helping out people with annual passes seems to me to be highway robbery. It's like, I can't get an annual pass, a park pass, without getting a hotel, but now they're giving me a discount off a hotel. Thank you, Disney. That doesn't seem like that makes that much sense either. But I don't disagree that there will be some people that do it, but I just feel like there are a lot of people who still either they're one time to go, and they still, even if it's a little bit cheaper, they know they're losing out on so many other things by going now. Or there's the people who are already going to go, and then they'll take advantage of this deal for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the people that live down the street. I don't think it's going to be the people that live in Windermere who are going to be taking advantage of this. But I think it's the people who live in like Tampa who are going to be doing it, because they would drive up and maybe just spend a day, and now maybe they're going to spend 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, that could be.
I will say quickly that like airplane tickets right now from Toronto to Florida are $200 round trip. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I should go to Disney in October for a weekend.
You should.
And then I remember, oh yeah, Florida is like the worst right now for the virus. But like we said before, Disney is like this bubble that they're making sure that everything is enforced. And I know that, like, other than being on the airplane and then being at the airport, if I were to stay at a resort, and if they were to say, hey, Canadians, now that non-essential travel is allowed, why not come back to Disney? Because that's going to happen. They always give a Canadian discount, and I've used that before because it saves you a ton of money on food and stuff, especially when, like, dining is free. Then I honestly might consider, if they're like, hey, hotel rooms are now, like, 75% off if you stay more than 2 days, I'll probably go for 2 days. If that's how cheap it is, and this is, like, an accessible thing, and I know that I will be safe if I'm at Disney, which is usually a thing Disney wants to make sure people are, then I will probably consider that. And I'm one of those people who are like, I just need to escape, even for a weekend or something.
Hey, unrelated, Tyler, don't you think they should give bigger discounts to Canadians at the Canada Pavilion?
Oh, yeah. I'm not paying $8 for a bag of ketchup chips when it's like 50 cents at a dollar store. That's crazy. Anyways, Ben, isn't this your show?
It is. I enjoy when people take it over. It's a lot of fun. So, well, thank you all for joining us. And if you are interested in taking advantage of one of those travel offers, boy, do we have some new news for you. This show is brought to you by the Vacationeer, the engineers of your next magical vacation. You can sit back and let their team of vacation planning experts craft your family's next magical Disney trip for you. The best part is their services are free. Hotels, park tickets, fast passes, dining, and so much more. You can visit wdwnt.travel for more details. Big shout out to all of our WIGS members who also support us and help make this show possible, along with every other show we produce. If you're interested in joining us, you can head on over to patreon.com/WDWNT. Get access to the post show that's coming up in just a few moments for those folks, as well as a bunch of other benefits, including exclusive shows like Detailed and Ride Rehab Watches, which Tyler hosts, and a whole bunch of other benefits. Again, that's patreon.com/WDWNT. If you are a WIGS member, head on over to my.wdwnt.com. Log in there if you haven't started watching on there already, and we will be back with the post show in just a moment. Otherwise, we will see you all next week.
Bye, guys. Where is he at? Where is he at?
LeBen!
Hi! I'm Lil Ben! Thanks for watching my show! It should be one of those character animator bits.
Oh my gosh.
Just motion your mouth.
You get me